you want to know about the time I crossed the Delaware with standing up on the boat? No.
Well, how about when Grandpa took your mom to New Jersey?
He got lost. He didn't take it to Jersey. He was driving, and by mistake he wound up on the George Washington Bridge. And he kept on driving, and I forgot what town it was. And finally, he realized he's lost. So, and he turned around and came back home. So my mother saying, I don't know, we went to Jersey. I don't know why we. So I said, well, I just wanted to show you Jersey. He didn't want to admit the fact that he got lost.
It wasn't Elizabeth? He said he wanted to go.
Maybe it's Elizabeth. I don't remember what town it was. It might have been Elizabeth.
It was all my one
Now,
friend Page's house.
your father, when he,
Do you know about the telephone call?
well, when he wanted to say the word Mac, like, hey Mac.
This is actually,
Well, you gotta tell from the beginning.
He held out that guy, hey Mark, what you called me?
Yeah,
My friend, what was the matter? Isn't that what you're supposed to say? Well, he one time called a priest, Pop. He said, well, he knows it's supposed to be a, father type of thing. Well, no. Well, Pop is Let me tell you about the telephone call.
So I love this one, and it's my friend. So I was like,
I was having a discussion with him. I don't even know what it was about. There was nothing important.
And it fit me.
And I left the house. I got about a block away from the house.
And
it was a cold, wintry night. I just remember something else in reference to what we were talking about. So it was like a drugstore or something. I ducked in and I called him on the phone. In reference to what we were talking about, A, B, C, D, what? And it was like startled the fact that here I left it about 5 minutes ago and I'm calling. He says, who is this? Hey, Pa, it's me, Seymour. We were just talking about this. He said, Seymour, my son? My father, he tried, but well, look, my mother didn't talk any English.
Yeah, I mean, it's not my own prom, so I would never,
She mixed up her my husband, she no home. But you don't know those days, people, it's a different type of life. If somebody came to your house and you rang the bell, come in, the door's always open. Come in. No one didn't even ask who is it or what. It was a different type of situation.
Now, what was it that Grandma made that I asked for seconds and then she...
Oh yeah, gefilte fish.
Right.
She made, that was her. She made pieces de resistance of her gefilte fish. So she had, I forgot for what holiday she had made some, and it came over, and she gave me a piece and said, here, she cut off just a small piece of fish. You're not going to eat the whole thing. See if you tasted it, and you liked it, and Grandma could have another piece. She was in heaven. This was, you couldn't a higher compliment if you asked for more. Well, this was one of her strong points, her cooking and her ability to please people in that way. So, anytime she could do it, she worked at it. She really worked at it. This was her strength, you might say.
In love with it. She just got it a few days ago. It's so pretty. Isn't that gorgeous? Yes.
Kept kosher all the years. Every Friday night she would
spent a lot of money on it. She's like, I starved.
I mean, she didn't go to temple too often. Well, first of all, she couldn't read it anyway. Everything was kosher.
Dad, do you know that Gabby's going to prom?
Yeah. No.
Okay, the dress she bought. Dad, it is gorgeous. Look at that. So
where
I
is
tried
my
this
phone?
dress on in a different color.
How is that?
Mia,
Oh, it's pretty.
where's my phone? Please, somebody give me my phone.
Thelma, where's his phone? I handed it to you. I see
It
it.
doesn't mean anything. Are you
Shut it off,
in the
it's
grandchild club? Are you in the grandchild club? There are two.
I see the light on.
Right.
I think any other stories? What are stories?
Second of all,
How about
always know.
when George
Put something.
was driving a cab and he wound
Well,
up
this
on
is
the-
something
on
he
the-
told,
on the
he said,
tarmac?
this is something I don't know, I can't verify.
Grandpa,
He
here's
says
your phone.
he
I can't get rid of something until you replace it.
mistakenly drove out right onto the
And then you show me how to do it.
tarmac, or whatever they call it,
Because this
and,
is all bull.
and a plane was taking off as he was driving.
Then I'll replace it.
This is his story.
Don't play with it.
I don't know.
No, I'll replace it. Can you read it?
George was not very much, wasn't too much of a sense of humor. Very uptight, very uptight guy.
This is it?
Very conscientious. He,
Okay.
I always remember there was
So
a time
remember
when
to smile and
I
look
made-
beautiful.
my mother wanted to go to the podiatrist for her feet,
Should be in a can.
and I told her I was going to be at her house at a certain time. And I come there and she's gone. I said, "Oh, no." And I go home, and later on I called. I said, "What happened?" George came and took. I said, I made up with you. Well, she favored George. She favored George and Betty. My father favored me. Jack was a lost sheep, so to speak.
I'm gonna bring chairs around.
Hi,
Yes.
that's a picture.
Yes.
Oh, me, I know.
During the war,
I love that
I
picture.
used to have to,
Oh
Second
my
World
God,
War, I
stop.
used to have to
I'm
write
touching that. You
letters.
look so pretty.
They had what they called V letters, which says one piece of paper, and you fold it over, and you put down the address. Well, address usually post office box, California, or wherever. No actual address. This was my job, to be writing letters
Can we email
to both
myself?
Jack and to George.
Oh, your mother couldn't.
It looks so
No,
pretty.
they couldn't.
Could your father could a little bit?
A little bit, but not really too well. I mean, it was a short sentence or something, and then sometimes, and of course he would misspell things. It wasn't. I mean, he had gone to some night school and gotten some education, but he really was lacking in a lot of it. But you know, Betty was born in Europe.
Now, was your mother a citizen? Was your mother a citizen?
My mother, what?
Was she a citizen?
Assistant?
A citizen.
Oh, no, my mother never became. Oh, that's a funny another story I can tell you. Because she never was a citizen, right, when my cousin Jerry got married in Canada. So my father and my mother, and I guess my Uncle Jaime and all went up to Canada. Well, my father being a citizen, getting out of the United States was no problem. Coming back into the United States, you had to show something. And she didn't have anything. So they had to send some sort of wire or telegram down to Washington to find out the name of the ship that she came in, to prove that she had come in 19 whatever she came into. It was a whole thing until they finally straightened it out. So for the longest period of time, I won't say years, but for the longest period of time, my father used to tease my mother. Said, "I should have left you in Canada. You were in Canada. You could have stayed in Canada for the rest of your life. I didn't have to come home." This was his tease all the time. I could have left you there. Actually, he didn't mean it because it was a joke. But I say, this was, and during the war, because she wasn't a citizen, she had to register that they had, usually in the post office, any person who's not an American citizen had to register, and they had to keep on re-registering every umpteen months or a period of time, and during the Second World War. And she had a bank account, and you know how she signed it? The next.
My hair wore better, so it's not in your face.
This is, well, Betty always used to work with her and take care of things and tell her.
So what was her status if she wasn't a citizen? Was she a permanent resident? Was she a...
She was an alien. I mean, I mean, she came here legally and not an illegal alien.
Right.
But you know, I say she came here over here in whatever ship that it was, but she never applied for citizenship, maybe, whereas my father did, and so forth. This was the, as from the story, she told me that one time she worked in a cracker factory. I don't know if it was Sunshine or whatever. That they used to package crackers in a package. From the stories I've been told by my mother, and my father didn't tell me too many stories, but my father used to tell me a lot of things. And it was a rough life. You know, I always remember she told me, you know, in Europe, they had a little farm, and on the farm they had a couple of chickens. Now, on occasion, somebody, a wagon would go by the house and hit the chicken and kill it. They had to give the chicken away because it's no longer kosher. But they had to trade the dead chicken for potatoes or for something else, because
maybe you know how to download.
They were denied themselves the pleasure of having a chicken, but once the chicken was killed by accident, they had to give it away.
So, Grandma and Grandpa were farmers?
No, they weren't really farmers. In fact, my father was, as I understand, was an apprentice to a tailor. Okay. And that's how he learned tailoring.
Okay. But they just had a little, like, private little farm of their own little...
Yeah, they lived, it was sort of like, you know, when I saw Fiddler on the Roof, that's Mama and Papa's home. You know, it reminded me so much from all the stories that I was told, that I sort of pictured that, my father being a tailor, working with another tailor to be apprentice, and my mother just being a housekeeper with her mother and her other siblings. I don't know what exactly. I know she had at least 2 sisters. I know. I don't know too many people around her family. But I know she had. But in fact, I remember she told me how every Friday they would bake bread, and the bread was finished baking. That bread had to last a whole week, because they would not bake it any other day. So, if sometime by Wednesday, Thursday, there was no bread in the house, or if it was kind of hard, because they didn't have refrigeration.
A whole different world.
See, it's from the stories I hear, it was a rough life.
Now, were they? Was it an arranged marriage?
Ooh, good question.
Grandpa and Grandma.
No. As far as I know, no. She used to remember her telling me that there was like a whole group of girls and a whole group of guys used to like meet in the town square or something, and that was, you know, just intermingle, and she always, well, I can't say the word in Jewish. I say in Jewish, you won't know me. He was tall and curly hair.
Grandpa curly hair?
I had a picture of him where he did have curly hair. He says he was tall, and she says liked it right away. And eventually they started getting together, and they got married there in Europe.
Okay.
Okay.
I could heat it up more.
Why don't we? I'll turn this off, and we'll.